Hey guys, it's the R. Shawn joining you today. I wanted to have an open conversation about really, should we give up? Is it time to just fold in the cards and say enough is enough? If you've been involved in this medical freedom movement for any period of time, you know there's a lot of resistance and it comes at you in a lot of ways. People want to deny science. And I say this is very interesting because there's all these people that want to cling to science for their cause, right? And they say science says, but then when you show them alternate science, they'll tell you that you're crazy or that scientists changed their mind, from their position 3 or 4 months ago. And those of us with logical brains know that the scientific process doesn't change in 3 months, right? Unless there's a new groundbreaking study or some other insight. Science doesn't change in a month or two. So if a scientist said something 3 or 4 months ago and they're a good scientist and they did their work, then what they said 3 or 4 months ago must have been true. Either that or they're a bad scientist. And what they say today should be consistent with what they said 3 or 4 months ago, unless, of course, there was some fundamental change. So you get the pressure from the people who will try to make you seem crazy and think like you don't know what you're doing. And then there's also the friends that pressure you to not talk about politics. Don't bring this up. It's negative to talk about how the government is lying to people or how misinformation is being spread or how studies contradict themselves or how we're not having an open and democratic debate. You'll hear that. You'll hear people say you shouldn't question things or that you're being negative or you're spending too much time on it. You also have your friends telling you not to worry about this. You're not cool because you're investing time and energy in questioning things and wanting to be an informed citizen. And you'll have people that are unfriending you or questioning every comment you give. And so the question becomes at some point, do you just give up? I mean, is there a time where you say, it's just not worth the fight? Or do you double down? And that's my question really for us today and tonight is, do we give up on these fights? Do we knuckle under to the pressure that's being applied to us? Do we listen to those folks that tell us, shut up, I don't want to hear your opinion, I have my science, I'm not listening to your science? To the friends that say, you're not following the majority, you're not doing what everybody else is doing. To the people that say, don't fight the system. Do we give up? Do we quit? And I think the answer for us, those of us that are in this movement together, I think the answer is very clear. We don't. And why don't we give up? Why don't we just stop and give in to the crowd? Why don't we just listen to what everybody else says? Why do we question authority? Why do we want to hold our government to a higher standard? Because it's the right thing to do. Because it's right for society. Because it's right for the future. Because it changes the direction of the world. We don't give up and do what's easy. We fight for what's right. We do what we have to do to make things happen. And that means waking up every day. It means reading the studies. It means analyzing everything. It means taking the work to dig through fake information. And we know the fake information is out there. Let's not be blind about that, right? There are fake studies every direction for things and against things. And we have to needle through. And we have to do what so few people do today, which is we need to apply reasoning and analysis to everything we hear. Each of us should be accountable for our past statements and our future statements, and they should be internally consistent. If we are good, whatever we are, doctors, lawyers, scientists, engineers, we learn, we evolve as we grow, but we're also consistent over time. And we're accountable for what we said in the past. So when Surgeon General Dr. Jerome Adams comes out in March and tells us in no uncertain words that wearing a mask would increase the infection rate of non-medical personnel because they don't have the proper training and they would touch their face, give me an amen if you try to wear a mask and you touch your face, right? You're increasing your infection rate. If you went and done an analysis of the CDC guidelines on how to wear a mask, you have to wash your hands before you put your mask on, and then you have to remove your mask, put it in for laundering, not wearing that mask again, and then wash your hands. Who's doing this? You know what's happening. People are putting their mask on as they go in the supermarket. They're taking it off as they come out. Or you do see the occasional person who's wearing their mask driving down the road, and that person probably installed their mask at home. Maybe they did wash their hands, and maybe they're going to wear their mask all the way back home like they're supposed to do. But now they've had to go out in a hot, humid environment where masks were not designed for, not tested for, and they're exposing themselves to risk, right? We get to question that. We get to say, why? Did you consider that, Mr. or Mrs. Government official that made this mandate? Right? It is okay in a democratic society to question things. It is not just okay in a democratic society to question things. It is indeed our obligation. We, the citizens, hold our government accountable. It is our job to get these turkeys out, to test the constitutionality of their arguments in court cases when necessary and appropriate, and to remember at the ballot box what these people did. Who are these people who didn't do the work? Right? I see these people. They're holding these meetings, shortened meetings. They don't let either side talk. They don't consider the science. You want to talk about science? Science goes two directions. And if you're only considering one side of science, generally, you're not doing your homework, right? You've got to look. There's point and counterpoint for almost anything. If you talk to any doctor, every medical procedure has an upside and a downside, risk, benefit, right? This is natural life. Everything's a trade-off. Just watch a drug commercial one time and you'll see, right? What does it say in the drug commercial? It says, well, you take this and you're going to get this side effect, that side effect, that side effect, that side effect, right? It is laid out for you that there are risks and benefits to that drug. Now, maybe depending on the condition you have, your history, where you're headed, whatever, it may make sense for you to take those risks. But that's a very personal medical choice for you and for your doctor, right? You need to weigh those risks. You need to be informed. And it is downright undemocratic what we're watching with the mask mandates. And of course, as one of our viewers point out, mask mandates lead to the vaccines, right? This is a perfect transition here, right? Mask to forced vaccine, because the same lack of science, the same lack of serious study, and the same lack of internal debate that our legislative and city councils and other government entities are letting us down with today. They're not doing their work. They're going to be not doing their work on the vaccine. I can almost bet you, right? And they're not weighing the risks, right? One of our viewers puts on, you get a much better chance of getting COVID wearing a mask. Dr. Jerome Adams, U.S. Surgeon General, told us that back in March, before whatever political winds changed and he changed his mind, right? Where's the new study, Dr. Adams? What tells us that it's no longer dangerous for a non-medical person to wear a mask? I don't see any new study. I just see somebody who changed their mind because the political wind shifted, right? There's no new study. There's no new science. Nobody came out and said it was safe. In fact, with the masks in particular, we don't even know what kind of mask people are wearing, right? They're wearing untested material. They're wearing T-shirts. They're wearing their shirt up on their neck. They're wearing all kind of crazy stuff. We have no controls. And people have never worn masks in those kind of conditions. Maybe they've worn masks in the hospital. Maybe they've worn a mask in a surgical setting, right? Purified air, controlled environment. I saw a medical interview recently where they said you have to change your mask every 2 to 2.5 hours if you're a doctor. Who's doing that when you're at your work for the day? Who's doing that when they're at the supermarket? Are you throwing your mask away every time you leave the grocery store and walk across the hot, humid parking lot to your car? I don't think most people I know are throwing their mask away every single use or washing their mask every time they wear it. You realize how much more laundry that would generate? Take the risks aside, now we have environmental impacts. Probably some of the same people that are mandating all these masks are not even thinking about the environmental impacts of this, right? So we need more accountability from our government. And so if we don't give up, if we continue the fight, we have the chance to hold people accountable. We have the chance to approach our elected officials and say, why did you do this? We have the chance to build the groundswell to unelect these people to get them out, right? We have the chance to make society better. And that's why we need to keep fighting. That's why we can't give in and knuckle under to the pressure that we're given. That's why we all have to do the work, even if it's hard, even if it means reputational risk, even if it means losing a job, even if it means offending your friends, because our country, our future, the notion of freedom, the thing that made America what it is, freedom, independence, liberty, the ability to make independent choices, the ability to forge your own way. These are the things that define us, and we're watching them go away. And if we don't do the work, if we don't hold our government officials accountable for making medical mandates, right? Masks are medical devices. If you go look at Louis Leo's lawsuit in Palm Beach County, he'll show you the FDA considers a mask to be a medical device. These are medical devices. They restrain your breathing. In occupational settings, they need to be fitted. They need to be tested. You need training on how to wear them properly. You need proper installation and disposal, or else they create risks. And they can also create fainting, low oxygen situations, other things that are being dismissed, but are still present, right? If you're testing people in an occupational or medical setting before you allow them to wear a mask, how is it suddenly okay to just let Mr. and Mrs. John Q. Public wear a mask? We're not getting full consideration from our governmental bodies. They are not doing the range of analysis. They are not working through all these meaty issues. And it's a lot of work, right? Even in this little short Facebook video, also on the McBride for Business YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed to that, subscribe, ring the bell, come hang out with me, McBride for Business. I do some motivational stuff. I occasionally do things like this, questioning our world and trying to make everybody a better business owner. So come join me over there. But if you're not doing the work, and it's a lot of work, but our government officials aren't doing the work, and we got to show up and say, we expect you to do the work. We expect you to do the work on masks. And a lot of us anticipate that the vaccine may be coming next, a forced vaccine, a vaccine that has been rushed through trials, a vaccine that has not been fully vetted. Our government officials are supposed to be there to protect us. They need to be looking at the science. They need to be reading the studies. They need to be holding hearings. They need to do the work. And it is not acceptable for government officials at any level to not inform themselves and fully understand what they're signing on to. We expect more from our government. And those of us that are in this movement, those of you with me, those of you who've signed up at the American Freedom Information Center Facebook group, those of you that are on my email list. And if you're not on my email list, send me a note, send me a message on LinkedIn or Facebook, and I'll get you on the list. Those of us that are in this movement, our job is to galvanize together and to hold the government accountable and make them do the work. And that's why we're not giving up. We are not giving up because the government works for us. We don't work for them. They answer to us, and they need to know that. Let's get on this together, people. Share this with your friends. Get them in the movement. Let's build a momentum. Let's start letting our government officials know that they are not going to do lazy work. We are going to hold them completely accountable. And if they don't do the work, they're getting voted out of office. And if they do corrupt things, they're going to jail, because we're here to make the future better. All right, folks, I'm looking forward to reading your comments. I thank you for joining me live. Hope a lot of you get to catch this on recording. Tell your friends. Come hang out with me at American Freedom Information Center. I'm going to go hang out with the lawyers here in a little bit. We're going to be putting together a research paper, which you'll be seeing soon. I'm just so happy all of you are in the movement. You're doing the hard work to invest in yourself and our future. We would not have this movement if we weren't all coming together. And I'm just really excited about our ability to make a difference as we galvanize, as we get our message together, and as we start to tell more and more government officials, you answer to us. We don't answer to you. All right, folks, I'll catch you very soon.